And this is the Nobody Talks Shidduch podcast. I'm your host, or co-host rather, as I was corrected last time, IJ. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'm here with my two wonderful co-hosts and a special guest. But first, Avery, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I got my Starbucks tea here. So
don't spill it on the equipment.
Than that?
Okay, don't spill it on the equipment. We don't want any issues like last time.
Not again.
And we didn't go without an episode for 2 weeks. And Miss D, you're back.
Hey guys, good to be here. I'm so excited. It's a good episode.
And we're so excited to have you. Everybody, we really appreciate the over now 4,200 downloads, and all of you out there almost breaking about 500 downloads an episode almost. And we really appreciate everyone's support. So we actually wanted to welcome Coach Hanna here, who is going to be our guest for today.
Yay. Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, welcome to the podcast, and we appreciate you coming on. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I'm a certified life coach, and I also do, I dabble in Shadchan as well. Mm-hmm. I started doing this a while ago, not professionally, just for my friends and, anyone who I guess sought my guidance.
Right.
And then as time went on, I realized that I really enjoy it and I wanted to make a career out of it. So I decided to become certified and really just focus my energies on helping as many people as I can.
Excellent.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's it's a good cause, and we appreciate you coming on and reaching out to us. We reach out to you.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Okay, you got me. But our topic today, first one we're going to start off with, how do you know it's getting serious, right? I think many of us hopefully have been here.
Deep question.
It's a point in the shidduch process where if you realize it too late, you could miss the boat and problems could happen. Then, of course, if you get a little maybe too early, you could chase the person away. Mm-hmm. Avery, so what do you like to? What are some thoughts on that subject?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to know when it's getting serious, to keep track of how your dating style is going and always speak to somebody. So that's why I'm very happy to have Hanna on.
Thank you.
Who can give us some info and give the audience some info about what we should be looking for, how to know it's getting serious on each side, and how to know that maybe they're not taking it serious, but you are. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know about particulars, but I think something that's important to me in particular is knowing when somebody starts calling you by your name.
It's going to say
it's something that you catch up on a little bit, after 4 or 5 dates. Yeah, hey, you, that doesn't sound so great when you're
and when you do it too early, it can especially for the girl. Yes, it's like, I don't know you like that. Yeah, please, let's keep it, more serious.
It took me a long time to hop onto that, I have to tell you, because I at work, I mean, that's where I was trained to talk to women at work, not any other place, even though I have many sisters. So I'm used to calling people by your name, right? So-and-so, Avery. Well, Avery is a girl's name. Miss D, you like that as well? Is that a big one for you?
So in the beginning, I think it's weird because it's like intimate more,
it's
like you're calling by my name. So it's like, again, like you said, like I don't know you. So, but later on, I think, you obviously want to start calling each other by,
Yeah, it's usually a good indicator, I think, for both sides that, okay, we're getting more comfortable.
Right.
I think that and saving their phone number.
Oh, that's a good one. Is that done? Do you guys do that? Do you save or leave
right away?
It's a big commitment.
I save it right away, and then I look them up on WhatsApp.
We save before they date.
But if they have a picture of their nephew or their niece, you're like,
that's annoying. Yeah, it's like put a picture of yourself. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
Well, wait, but we say the same thing with girls. I'm expecting I used to have me in my camping outfit, and I was with my fisherman hat, and my cool
rugged,
nerdy, hiker glasses. But then girls be like, you should really have a more attractive profile picture. So I said, okay, let's try it. And now mine's baller. You've seen mine, Avery, no?
I don't think so. I've seen it. It's not that.
Can the profile picture be a turnoff for some people?
I think so, but I think actually the way to make it a positive is even if you don't want to put a picture because you're not that type of person, if you have a funny quote, a funny something, it's very engaging. It's you want to connect with that person. You're like, oh, okay, they have a sense of humor. That's good.
Or a deep quote or something.
Yeah. You can show your personality without putting a picture out there.
That's cool. Good point.
I like that.
You could do both. You could do both. Also.
You get that feeling though that they don't have anything to show.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
It could go either way.
I'm not the judgmental type. I wouldn't think that, but maybe there are people out there that would think that.
It could go either way. Either they could be just so confident and good looking that they don't necessarily like find it necessary that they need that boost and they need people to see how they look, or they could be they're hiding things.
Yeah. And so let's talk about a little bit of the process, right, of getting to, know that you're being serious with the person. So obviously you're getting set up with the shadchan and you're in shidduch and all that. So maybe the first step to kind of realize that this could be something real is obviously breaking shadchan, and sometimes that's forced upon people by either the shadchan or maybe the other person involved. So, the guy, the girl, the guy. Or it could be, something like you're feeling it already and you want to talk to that person, and like, hey, let's break shadchan. I know it's going well. We're both adults, right? This could be a little bit of a bigger issue when you're younger, when you're 20, 21. My favorite line right off the boat from Israel.
Got the life vest on still.
Yeah, the life vest. Avery, you still have your life vest.
Oh, for safety purposes, or
no? Just for just in case we get another Hurricane Sandy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So right. So it's all So breaking shadchan is big. As a dating coach, as someone who obviously has been through shidduchim yourself, as well as helping others, is there a right time for that?
Yeah, I think that it's really a lot of it is, as hard as it sounds, it is a lot on the guy to kind of take the lead. And, if he feels like they're heading in that direction and he's getting that feeling from the girl that they're heading in that direction, that he can figure out a way to do that. Or that's why I also got into the business of being a shadchan dating coach, because if for something like this specifically, where I can assist and tell them maybe how to phrase it, how to word it, or how to go about it in like a subtle way and ensure that the girl feels the same way or the guy feels the same way, you kind of have to, I think, take each situation separately and figure out where you're holding specifically, and then smoothly move forward.
Oh yeah, and do you think it's more of a challenge when people are young or people are getting older? So maybe around 30s, or is it easier at 20s? Like what's usually easier or what's harder?
I think
when is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors. Factors are outside influences could be a big factor too. When you're talking about a parent, pressure, a family member, friend who is pushing you in your 20s or 30s, and sometimes people need that push, that little shove to say, hey, you're on 5, 6, 7 dates. This is get hitched, we're ready by the ring. Just do it. Okay.
But sometimes that's not good. Like, you know what I mean?
I think it depends on the personality. Yeah. If the guy is a little bit more of a bachelor, then he needs that little bit of a push. And if he's the type of guy that, he's secure with himself and you're being overbearing. Right. And you have to feel out the situation.
Personality and
the personality. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
So Misty, I actually put it out on our Instagram, and wanted to get a little feedback, on the topic. So one thing actually came up often is complimenting. And I know Avery always compliments me.
I just I'm complimenting a date. No, that hasn't.
Oh no, it is complimenting.
I thought that's what you meant. Okay.
But complimenting, compliment. So
sorted that one out.
Is it really like I can't say anything for the first 16 dates? I can't compliment anything.
No, you can.
Because I've been called a creeper.
No, yeah.
Depends how you say it.
Yeah, it depends how you say it. I was going to say, don't come off as a creep.
Hey, nice.
Right.
Like that.
It's all about the delivery. You could say the same
tone,
words.
Exactly.
But if you're saying it in a creepy way, it's going to come across.
Don't be a creeper.
But aren't people concerned about a stiffness? It's such a...
There's a balance. Don't be a creeper, but don't be like a rock that you don't have personality.
Right. I feel like that's what I feel like is so misconstrued these days with dating. You have to find what you're comfortable with and not what is considered okay and what's normal and what should be done. It's because at the end of the day, you're going to throw that out the window when you like somebody, and you're just going to go with your gut and you're going to go with what you feel comfortable with.
Exactly.
Because that's what brings about the best type of end result, the best relationship.
Because you're being you're being real with who you are.
At the same time, though, IJ and I have been told by many girls and dates, and people say, okay, you're on the date, you're at a door, open it for them. There's certain rules that you have to abide by.
Right.
And a lot of people in shidduchim don't necessarily want to abide by all the rules in whatever old-fashioned order they've been since their parents, paid for the bill. Everyone should. No, that's
like
a
what?
joke.
Like what?
That's a joke. But
like what?
I mean, obviously the car, and then I don't know, after going to meet their parents for the first date or second date, a lot of people feel very uncomfortable about that type of thing. Like there's certain archaic things that have been going on.
And archaic being like the 70s and 80s and maybe 2000s even.
Yeah, like struggling
but
with
right, there are a lot of things. And I think it could be, I guess,
when the parents meet, for example. Like the parents meeting after like 10 dates, for example. Or a certain period. It should be when people feel comfortable, right?
100%. That's what my husband said. He said, my parents will meet you when I am ready for them to meet you.
Exactly.
And his parents had no choice but to go along with it. It obviously has to be presented in the right way. You can't be, be obnoxious about it, but you really have to go with what's comfortable because that's like I said, it's really going to give you the best result.
So let's say, you want to get the girl's number at that point. How would you say it? What's a good way? Can I get your number?
No,
we should put that clip in.
Wait, at what point? At one point, can you get the number?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I mean, I would feel comfortable as a guy. I could kind of read the situation really well, as you can see. But I would say, around like 5 to 10 dates is somewhere to get the number. And that's in more of a like modernish, modern Orthodox kind of dating.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like you can also go by how the girl is talking. If she's talking about future dates with you and she's incorporating you in like future plans, then that kind of gives you an idea that, okay, I could probably ask for her number sometime soon.
Yeah, this is something we discussed, like giving somebody advice, not to go back, but giving somebody like tips, like not incorporating, like saying, you'd do better off at this juncture with another person, like that type of subliminal hint to other people. So yeah, incorporating, that's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be a little bit more perceptive of those, because most of the time now I'm thinking about it, I usually hear like, oh yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
Maybe you're just saying a lot of creepy things. I don't know.
No,
exactly. Don't be a creeper. Goes back to that.
That's hey, however I'm able to get it done.
Whatever it works.
Right.
And texting relationships, what do you think about, should it be a phone call relationship strictly? For a while, what do the girls think about that?
With because texting,
we don't like to text as guys, representing the.
Oh, really? You don't like to text? No. I feel like a lot of guys don't like to talk on the phone.
Yeah.
From what I've understood, things get misconstrued when you text.
You don't know how they're saying.
Women don't understand
There's
sarcasm.
Not enough exclamation marks.
Yeah.
Not all. Excuse me. Some women understand sarcasm.
It's true. Especially when you don't know the person that well, then you don't really understand their type of humor. Or you don't understand how they phrase things a lot of times. So I do hear that with the texting. I just feel like it's more comfortable and it's more time efficient, though.
Yeah, I think both. But then texting, it's like showing you're too accessible. Like, let me just text her and then like, oh, she will answer me right away. Like, call her also. I feel like both.
Yeah. Like, you could do, like, a good Shabbos call, so you have that phone conversation.
Yeah.
And then, during the week, maybe, like, a text, hey, how you doing? You don't want to over-text in the beginning either, because
that's too much. You're like...
I would feel the same way. I wouldn't want to, like, be too much in their face in the beginning. Definitely not the first, second, maybe even third date. But eventually, like you were saying, Shabbos text, things like that, phone call at every now and then.
No, that's a good point. Was there ever a situation where you texted somebody and like it just got totally, because that happened to me before.
Regretted it?
New phone, who it is.
Yeah, where I've texted somebody and they're like,
oh yeah, I did. So really, I'll tell you who it was after. No, I'm kidding.
I once texted a girl's mother before a date.
Why?
On purpose?
The phone number was on the resume, and I looked at it. I'm like, hey, you ready to go out at 7? Like, let's say Shabbos date.
Oh my god!
And then I look at the number and I'm like, oh gosh, the shopman sent me the girl's number, and the mother's number was on the resume. So I figured, okay, that must be right.
I texted the mother. That happens a lot.
Wait, what'd she say? What did the mom answer?
She didn't answer. It was just utter silence. It was, yeah.
Like, who is this?
So actually, so speaking of that question with that and the mother, because this one actually does have a situation like that. So I was, this was like maybe 4 years ago when I was still learning how to do things. And, I was texting a girl. She was out of town. So I felt like I maybe had to, a little bit more than I would. And I tried to get into whole conversations. And I didn't realize at that point that people don't really know how you talk, how you're trying to say things. They can read it wrong. And we were talking for a few minutes, or at least I was. I don't know if she was. We were texting, so we were conversing. I don't really know now that I think about it. So she actually calls me in the middle, and she's like,
"Oh, that's awesome."
So I have to be honest. Like, I don't want you texting me because
that's very bold of her.
And that's all I heard, really.
I wouldn't do that.
But then she said, I am actually I work with my hands, and she did hair makeup. You can make. I'm not going to say which one, but she did one of those, and she's like, "I'm so sorry. My hands are so exhausted from the rest of the day, but you can definitely feel free to call me." So I was my heart dropped for a second because I really liked her. And then I was so relieved, oh man, okay, thank God. So that could happen. It's good to communicate certain things.
Absolutely.
Right, all the time. So when I'm very busy at work, if it's deadlines and things like that, I will let them know, oh, okay, I'm just in a deadline at work. And I have to get to something, so I really won't be able to text you maybe until before 8 o'clock, but after 8 o'clock or whatever it may be. So just to give them the heads up on things like that, communicating.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's very blunt to do that. Wow.
I know.
Were you hurt?
Yeah. I was. I mean, I was ready to marry her, but
oh wow,
next date it was over.
Oh man, the hands, that's a killer.
The hands are a killer.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Whatever.
Here's my question. I think everyone has this question out there. How do you know they're being serious? How do you know that the other person is serious? Aside from names and aside from other things, is there a way to tell that the person you're dating is serious about you?
So
I've never been, being on dates, you never had that, that hasn't been able to, I haven't been able to tell that yet. Mm-hmm. And if they have, I've dumped them. So.
Well, it's always good, and I had said this before in a previous one. It's always very good to let the shadchan know how you feel very early on. I remember that I did date a girl for some time, and second date I called the shadchan. I'm like, I really like her, and I would really like this to go as long as possible. And she was very happy about that. She was like, "Whoa, no one's ever done this," and I'm like, "Oh wow, it's very interesting." So it's always important to communicate that if you really want to make sure it gets to that serious point.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. If you work together with a shadchan as opposed to just, I don't know how I feel. So if you talk, even if you talk it out with a shadchan and say, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling, or somebody else that can give you insight, and then you can take that back to the shadchan and say, okay, I'm thinking this, I'm feeling that, is it reciprocated? Do they feel the same? And if you're further along and you drop the shadchan already, I think that some of the telltale signs are usually if they, if they start incorporating you again in their life, but there's usually signals like they're going on vacation or they're going away to their friend's wedding out of the state, out of the country, and they'll say, don't worry, I'll make sure to have enough Wi-Fi. I'll make sure that so I could text you, I can call you. Right. That's okay, so you care to still talk to me and connect with me. Right. There's usually little signs like that they tell you.
Yeah, Misty, what do you think?
I'm thinking.
Yeah, you gotta think this one out. It's a tough question, but
it is. Well,
it's probably tougher early on when you're in the first 1 through 3 because it's still so mechanical.
Well, no, so I think someone, being a matchmaker myself, which I have set many people up, and also obviously dating for many years, there are like I have said before that there are stages in the relationship process, or let's say shidduchim, right? You're first getting to know each other as strangers, right? That's the first stage. The next stage, you're kind of getting to know each other as friends, and you can ultimately be best friends. That last stage is somewhere between you're in a relationship for marriage, or you could really be best friends, and obviously that last stage has to lead to that. So the first stage is fairly easy because there are so many, of these outside things, these outside factors where you're breaking shadchan and you maybe start to text each other like everyone here has been talking about. So what about that real relationship zone? Then you're seeing this person for whatever it may be, 6 weeks or 2 months, 3 months, depending on, what kind of, where you come from, what kind of area you live in, what kind of background you have.
But how do you know you're not rushing it though? That's a question, I think, also.
Rushing it for yourself, or that the guy is rushing it, or the girl's rushing it?
Or both. How do you know you're not going too fast? Because I know some people that, they literally dated for, a week or 2 weeks, and now, they got married after. So,
Mazel tov.
So that's crazy, but it works
crazy,
for some people.
But I guess they say, but it really depends on the person.
But how do you develop, again, those stages you were talking about? How do you develop all that within, a week? Or 2 weeks?
So I could jump in on this one again. Feel free. So I think a big factor in that is where are you coming from? You know, what kind of background do you have? So, for example, I have a lot of Sephardic friends, and they get engaged very quickly because, you know, for example, they're living in an Ashkenazi world, right? And there's all these things going on. And when they meet that person who has that background where, like, everything's similar, everything matches up, they just need 2 weeks to get to know each other. Everything else they know works for, you know, will
That's
just
a good
come
point.
right into
It's a very good point.
It's tougher in the Ashkenazi modern Orthodox area because there's so many different backgrounds. There's the parents weren't from, now they were from, they're Baal Tshuvas now, they're off the derech, and then everyone has their own things. So aligning that is a real struggle, right? And in the more yeshivish world, I think you don't, same thing with the Sephardic. Like,
but the yeshivish world does believe that after you're engaged, like say you have 2 weeks of engagement, they believe like, okay, you know each other. What else is there? Like
that's what I'm saying.
Right. It depends on what you're looking
everything
for
else, all
in your
the other
relationship.
feelings will come afterwards. You know, that's where the relationship is built. Once you have the higher stakes, let's call it, like engagement and marriage, that's where relationship comes from. So
right. And so it depends, like you said, on how you view a relationship. Like I think everyone was basically saying that, you know, if you're have that yeshivish background, I don't think you're necessarily looking for the guy to get down on one knee and there'd be a whole sing along, and you know, you're not looking for that. So the 2 week time frame, that sounds a little crazy, but for them, I think all their check marks can be checked off in 2 weeks.
The key is to get the shomer picture together, you know.
Shomer picture.
That could take 2 weeks itself.
That's a lot of editing.
That's a
My husband and I have done that after we're married, just as a joke. Like,
that's so funny.
Those shomer pictures. Yeah.
They're the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, does that also affect the relationship though? Shomer or not?
Yeah,
obviously, we're going to discuss that on a deeper level in another episode.
That would be in that friendship. And we are going to get a lot more into that in another. But that would be in that second stage of like you're becoming very good friends, or you're perhaps in third stage where like you're really going to get married. Shomer, like what is going on?
It's a big thing though, I think, because if you're in that second stage and you're trying to decide to get to that third stage and you decide not to be shomer, I feel like it could cloud a lot of your decision making.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's why definitely don't do it in the first. And honestly, from my personal experience, no, I'm kidding. For people who I've set it up, and also honestly, just from talking to, you know, people who aren't in shidduch, and also watching The Bachelor, to be honest, I see that it's good to hold back. It really
is
good.
But it can kill it. Like I had a friend who was getting serious with someone, and then like they weren't shomer, and like that's it.
Well,
like,
that's
it ended.
fear.
But they were going out for a long time. Like
that's actually very interesting. That's what made it.
Yeah. So I'm like, you would think not, but then right.
Do you think there was anything else, Misty?
Could be
that Jewish guilt.
Misty, that's the fear of dating for so long, where you just kind of let things go. Month
like
here, another month there, and dragging it out, and then you know.
That's why it really is important to talk to somebody, like even your friend. If you have that one good friend that gives good advice, talk it out, because it really does give you perspective just to say something out loud,
right?
And then it sounds
you
different.
hear it back in your own voice. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
Discussing with the person doesn't really do much. Discussing with the person you're dating doesn't help much because they're biased. They're as biased as you are. So
but
like,
sometimes
it
does.
No, I mean discussing it with like somebody else, like an outsider, an objective perspective.
Right, like a Rebbe or a Rebbitzin
mentor,
or a
exactly.
therapist, mental health coach,
Jedi
coach,
Yeah.
Master Yoda. Yeah, that works.
That's why important to have a mentor, like a love or someone to like guide you.
Yeah, or even exactly. You want that perspective, and even if you feel too hesitant to say something so personal to a Rav or a Rebbitzin, talk to your friend. Like make sure that you have somebody like that.
Right.
Yeah, and I think on that topic where things could be detrimental, right? So on that other side of it, maybe not making a move could be a big problem. Like it could kind of lead to that, you know, that was the one who got away. So maybe what are some things, Hannah, that you've seen or that one can do where so they're dating for a while and they can get out of get more into that, like, I know this is the one, like aside from shaking it up on the dates and going on hikes.
I think that it is important to have some serious conversations then, because it will give you a lot of insight on the person, and it'll also give you an understanding if you can go there with that person. If you know, if they're telling you things that are on a deeper level that you don't agree with, then you know right then, you know, it's not going to work for you. But you definitely have to push yourself to have some uncomfortable conversations, some deeper conversations that definitely leads things in a certain direction, bad or good. But
And how quickly do you think someone should do that? How quickly do you think they should get deep on a date and within their dating?
It's a good question.
Like what number? What number date?
Possibly I think what number or how comfortable you like that. Yeah.
I think you have to go on how the other person is, receiving things. So, if you're the girl, if the guy is talking more seriously already and he's mentioning that in a couple of weeks from now, he's going to take you there or do that, then you can kind of gauge that it's okay to start having a little bit more serious conversations. Put some feelers out. Say one thing that, see how they react to it.
Yeah.
Right.
I know, like a sibling getting like married or something.
Right.
And, that's so true.
Hanukkah parties.
Yeah, no, that's very big. Personally, that's happened to me where I was putting out feelers and like, at the time I didn't get anything back, and it was, it was a problem. So like I personally, as a victim in that situation, like you have to speak up, and it's very uncomfortable to do that, to be like, whoa, you're moving a little bit too fast. Like I have set a lot of people up where the guy will call me after a few dates and be like, oh my God, I gotta marry this girl. I'm gonna tell her I love her already. I'm like, whoa.
No.
I'm like, dude, bro. You
don't say love till after, you don't say love till after 3 kids.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I love you.
Okay, great. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, but and by the way, it happens a lot. It does happen a lot. But when
then you mishear them and it's like, God bless you. What?
When is a good time? Because I think that L word, the love word, is way more powerful than like, let's start maybe feeling out about like marriage and stuff. So from where I am, I've definitely like seen people talk more about them getting married or what a life would be like, and you're going to do that before you say, the love word.
Absolutely. I agree with that. That you start to paint a picture with them and you start to incorporate them way before you say, I love you, because I love you, I feel like is the last step. When you're secure that they'll reciprocate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise awkward.
Yes. There's that awkward turtle, awkward silence.
It's a Seinfeld episode. It's a big matzo ball hanging out there. That's one line from there. But it's a good point. Yeah. Is there really love though before you start?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you mean dating? I love you?
Is
like,
that a real thing?
So,
what is?
No, it's fake.
I think Rabbi Abraham Twersky talks about it. He talks about fish love.
What's that?
Like you love eating fish.
Oh, I heard.
And it's good for you, and it makes you feel better because you taste good, and
like you love the idea of love.
Yeah, right. The idea is you don't really love the other person. You love how they make you feel.
Yeah,
that's
I hear
the concept.
that. So I think there's different levels.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like, when you're engaged to somebody, I think you can love them in a very basic way. And then as you get married, you love them when you go through trials and tribulations and you go through more things with them. Yeah. There's different degrees of love. Mm-hmm. So I think like when you're engaged or when you're thinking about getting engaged to somebody, you should have that, I guess, basic level of, I would say I'm in like with them, but a little more than I'm in like with them. You want to
like with them,
right?
A little more than that,
like
love is
right.
It's not so simple. I feel like there's so many layers to it, and as you've been married for many more, many years, it takes on new layers. I feel like.
Mm-hmm. So how do you go about the process? I think maybe to Miss D and I'm going to ask this question: how do you go about the process of eliminating qualities where you know you cannot like marry this person, like that they do something that just gets under your skin and you're like, okay, they love to sing and their voice is terrible.
Oh no.
Or they, for example, somebody's a very healthy eater and she isn't, or the vice versa. That could be a big problem for some people, and that's obviously it's a materialistic thing that somebody.
But if it matters to you, then it matters. Like if it comes if it's too much for you to handle, don't do it, right? Like,
yeah, it's funny. I was just discussing this with somebody, the idea that, if this matters to you now, but who cares? It won't matter in 10 years. The thing is that I don't know if you're going to get to 10 years of marriage if these things are bothering you initially.
That's such a good point.
What type of things were they? What?
Yeah, I heard of that.
Not specifically, obviously. We don't want to say names, but.
Like the things that bother you during dating gets worse when you're married.
Yeah, and they're only exacerbated when you're married to this person you're with them 24/7.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get to 10 years if you're constantly annoyed by those small things.
Are they trivial things? Are they like large, like?
I think it depends on the person. Like I wasn't talking about anything specific really. It was more like the concept, but yeah, I mean, or what, something even like I went out with somebody that they really had to take into consideration whether or not they were okay with the fact that like I was always a little bit late to things. I didn't have such good time management, and they were so on time. Their whole family is very on time, and in concept, it doesn't seem like it could be such a big deal, but in practice, to this specific person,
yeah,
it was.
Wow.
Yeah, I get that. Because I'm like that, like very on time. So like if you're not on time, I'm like,
yeah, and it's going to bother you. And then guy could be like 5 minutes late and think it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but you're and like, then
you come to the day, you're all annoyed, and he's like, she was all annoyed the whole time. I don't know why.
Or something that bothers IJ and I, like if they're, well, I don't know if I say it. If they're very family oriented and you don't have that same feel and same vibe. Like everything they do is their family.
Right. Family dynamic.
Right.
Really important.
They do family picture night every Tuesday, family game night every Thursday.
They eat
Count me out.
Yeah. Chinese food, Monday night, all you can eat, their family night.
So that's okay for me and I family, going out for the Chinese.
But that could bother somebody and eventually you'd have to
it's a good point. Family, as much as people say, oh, who cares? I'm not marrying you. I'm not marrying your family. I'm marrying you.
Point,
you do to a certain extent marry the family because you're going to be hanging out with them and, they may even influence your partner to some extent. So it is important.
Right.
Yeah. And if you're not looking for that, because some people have like some issues with their family and it's not easy for them, and you might connect well with someone who has also some family issues, or you might want to get in on that family.
Right.
So there is that dynamic as well. So it can go 3 ways.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be part of the family. Because some people are like, oh, like there's such a thing about like mother-in-laws and stuff like that. And like you want to have marry into a good family. And it's like,
you want that scary mother-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole other.
So bringing that back to qualities that could actually, bother you while you're dating, and you should kind of probably speak to somebody about it. So I think that's a good point. Family is something that we could all. Rally around.
So just I guess in closing to try to get to those main points that we kind of talked about and brushed up upon. Maybe Avery, you could let us know. So what were just some of those most important things to for the listeners to understand? Like, okay, things are getting serious.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I think we discussed a bunch of times that to know that they're going to incorporate you, like Hannah said, which is an excellent point, and I'm going to think about that a lot after this podcast to incorporate the person that you're dating within your plans for the future. Obviously on a smaller level, start using their name is something that I think people should be more conscious of and more cognizant of when that's going on. Mm-hmm. And I think these are some good points that were brought
Misty,
up here.
How about you? Some closing remarks in terms of knowing things are serious.
Just don't rush into it. I think, like you were saying, Hannah, like know yourself and like know what works for you, and don't rush into something, but also don't be scared not to rush into something. You know what I mean? Like if you feel, like if you feel it's ready, like be open about that, and like so just
100% agreed. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Also, it's at the end of the day, do what is comfortable for you. Mm-hmm. If you feel you're getting to that point, and you might not necessarily want to tell the other person that you're dating, so talk to the Shadchan or figure out a way that you can convey how you're feeling. Yeah, and then figure out if you are getting serious or if you're not getting serious, or if you're not ready to get serious, convey that. The point is that you have to be comfortable in the dating situation and figure out your own way.
Amazing. No, I like that. That's a really good point. So true. Okay, great. Everybody, thanks again for joining us. And we wanted to thank Hannah so much for coming. Is there anything you want to tell where people can find you on social media?
You can follow me on Instagram at Hanna Kahana Coaching. And you can always send me an email to hannakahanacoach@gmail.com.
And I'm always here to help anybody who's looking for help.
Recommended. I'm going to have like 20 emails for you after this.
He's going to email you. So I'll give you his email.
How do I know when I'm hungry?
Exactly.
Okay, great, guys. Hey, I've had so much fun, and thank you all for joining us. This has been another episode of the famous and only and first Shidduch podcast, the Nobody Talks Shidduch podcast. The LMNO Broadcast Network.